On the 6th of September 2021, RS117 finally completed his magnum opus, a high-definition graphical plugin for the RuneLight RuneScape client, which would allow old-school RuneScape to look similar to the 2008 graphical rework. RS117 has been working on this mod on his own for over 2 years, and when it was completed, he submitted it to the RuneLight internal testing team, who took several months to check its integrity and finally approved it, and on the day it was meant to be made publicly available, a day most RuneScape players were extremely excited about, Jagex contacted RS117 and told him to take the plugin down. 2 years of work that all involved parties have known about from day one, destroyed the very day it was set to release. Let's discuss. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm Josh Hayes. In this video, I'd like to look at the complex relationship between players, developers, and executives in MMORPG development, and how the symbiotic and almost respectful nature between players and developers can often be destroyed, especially player trust, by poor decisions made by the executives. Before we begin, consider going to RS117's Twitter and following him for updates about this whole thing. As usual, a huge thank you to the supporters on Patreon and Twitch who keep this channel going. More on that at the end. For now, let's begin. Let's briefly explain what RuneScape is and how the clients work for anyone unfamiliar. Old school RuneScape is a build of the popular MMORPG RuneScape from 2007. It's often referred to as 2007scape. It was released after severe public dislike toward the current direction of RuneScape after the evolution of combat and the microtransaction store being added. Now, old school RuneScape has its own dedicated team within Jagex, and it has a few new features that have been added over the years, but it's always maintained the 2007 spirit. RuneScape is a free MMORPG, both old school and live, but there is a members version, and a subscription to the members version gets you access to both old school and RuneScape 3. Now, old school has vastly more active players and is the more popular game by a country mile. The Twitch streams for RuneScape 3 cap out at the mid to high hundreds of viewers, while old school RuneScape brings in tens of thousands. The old school RuneScape subreddit is one of the largest single game subreddits in the world, with nearly 600,000 members. The official Jagex client for old school RuneScape is relatively basic, and so various open source fan-made clients exist. The most popular is RuneLight. RuneLight is completely free, and while playing through RuneLight there are various plugins you'll get access to. You can add tile markers to the floor, increase the view distance, play a sound when you hit a low health threshold, highlight items in your inventory with various edging colours so you can recognise your armour and item sets, add times to screens so you can track the respawn times of a boss, or have your friends' names highlighted above their heads in-game. RuneLight is extremely useful, and I'm willing to bet the majority of old school RuneScape players use RuneLight instead of the official client. Now, Jagex have started slowly adding some of these features to their official client, which is now available through Steam, but it is not as player-friendly as RuneLight. The old school team know RuneLight exists, and the official relationship for many years has been one of quiet respect. They haven't endorsed it, they haven't banned it, they've even made tongue-in-cheek references to it. If you look at the official adverts for RuneScape, those banner adverts that appear around the side of your screen, you'll notice the RuneScape avatar is actually using the RuneLight client, shown by the distinctive grey right-hand side column of plugins. So Jagex have been aware of RuneLight for a long time, and they're definitely aware a majority of their player base use it. Now, the only plugins that have been banned on RuneLight so far are ones that go against the nature of the rules of the game, direct cheats, and that's fine. You don't want auto-clickers, you don't want auto-item equippers, you don't want RuneLight to become a cheat client. You want it to be a quality of life client existing within RuneScape's rule set. The RuneLight HD rework was just going to be a graphical retexturing, done by one dude, RS117. So let's have a look at the incredible task he decided to take on. Back in 2008, RuneScape received a graphical overhaul, adding textures to the currently flat surfaces of the game, and players have been crying out for these 2008 graphics to be added to the old-school RuneScape official client. Now, Jagex haven't said anything about this becoming a possibility, so RS117 took it upon himself to make a plugin, and over 2 years he went through and retextured almost everything in the game. He's been posting screenshots to his Twitter and his Patreon as he's been doing this, and they look amazing. Remember, the plugin doesn't change the the way the game plays. RuneLight isn't a cheat client, it only changes how it looks. And then after 2 years, the project was complete, and this was submitted to the RuneLight internal team for testing. Now remember, the RuneLight team aren't Jagex, they just make sure every plugin added conforms to the rules of Jagex. And the RuneLight team, after a month of intensive review, allowed the HD mod to go live. And then RS117 posted this to Reddit, Twitter, and Patreon. Yesterday, September 6, 2021, RuneLight HD would have been released. The code had been reviewed and bugs had been fixed. It was ready to go. You would have been playing with it right now. Yet at the 11th hour, Jagex contacted me asking me to take it down in light of the reveal that they have a similarly themed graphical improvement project that is relatively early in the exploration stages. I offered a compromise of removing my project from RuneLight once they are ready to release theirs, in addition to allowing them collaborative control over the visual direction of my project. They declined outright. So it appears that this is the end. Approximately 2,000 hours of work over 2 years, a huge outpouring of support from all of you. I could never have imagined the overwhelmingly positive response I've had to this project. I am beyond disappointed and frustrated with Jagex. I am so very sorry that after this long journey, I'm not able to share this project with you. He then adds in the edit, I would like to share this quote from user Adam1210, the creator of RuneLight. Also, I'd like to add, as far as I'm aware, none of this comes from the old school team itself. Please be nice to them. They are nice people and are trying to do their best. The complete Reddit post from RuneLight developer Adam1210 reads as follows. We've had the 117 HD plugin ready to be released on the plugin hub for a few weeks now. Upon receiving this information, Jagex was very opposed to it, which I found rather confusing considering there are existing HD clients that are actually released and working, and no one seems to care. I've spent the last few weeks going back and forth with them privately in calls, arguing the case for releasing it, but ultimately they've decided to do this. If anything, adding HD clients would bring in more players and allow them to get some good real-world information on what type of HD changes are most appealing to players, which seems like a win-win for everyone involved. I also strongly disagree with adding it to the third-party guidelines. Most of these guidelines are trying to define where the line between quality of life and cheating is. And I think most people agree the current guidelines are a good representation of that, and it helps keep the game integrity. However, there is no unfair advantage in the slightest for improved graphics. It only affects you when you enable it, so this is really just a misuse of the guidelines. So overall, this is really a loss for everyone involved, and I wish Jagex would reconsider. I'd also like to add, as far as I'm aware, none of this comes from the old school team itself. Please be nice to them. They are nice people and are trying to do their best. The HD shutdown post from RS117 was posted to the Old School RuneScape subreddit, and within only 19 hours had become the most upvoted and awarded post on that subreddit of all time. It even reached the top of r/all, Reddit's main page, and remained there for several hours, generating incredible amounts of reach. Even people who never played the game disagreed with Jagex's decision. Players tweeted at the lead guy of Old School RuneScape, Mod Ash. Now, Mod Ash is known on Twitter for his sense of humour and his genuine passion for the game, his willingness to always interact with the community. I've had several personal interactions with Mod Ash and they've all been extremely positive. I think he is a top-notch bloke. People asked Mod Ash why the official update was signed the OS team and not in the usual way of having individual Jagex moderators named within the update. Ash responded, explaining it's because this kind of order has come from much higher up the chain than the development team. In any project, especially MMORPGs, I believe you have three camps of people: the players, the developers, and the executives. Now, the players and the developers are the camps most often connected. Normally, the developers are also players themselves. The developers are fully aware of the culture of the game because they create the culture. They go home at the end of the day and they will talk to the players. The developers are normally the front-facing ones of the company, the people you'll see on Twitter, the people who will respond to you on Reddit, the people who will make humorous update videos on YouTube. The players see the developers as the be-all and end-all, but that's not quite correct. The developers then have to report to the executives, and the executives are the ones that make decisions about money, and all they care about is profit and the bottom line. If the executives can see a way to make money but the players won't like it, it doesn't matter. The executives will make it, and the players will get angry not at the executives because they don't see them, they'll get angry at the developers. More often than not, the developers are not the ones creating these decisions. They're the ones coding the game day to day. They're not the ones shutting things down. I have no doubt something similar to the following conversation will have happened. RS117 finished his mod and sent it to RuneLight. They reviewed it and said, go ahead, this is fine. Then someone informed the Jagex executive team that a major new fan-made HD rework was about to go live. The executive momentarily looked up from his mountain of money and paused his next yacht order to ask, is that something we could potentially charge for in the future? Or is this something we could potentially release ourselves and use as a massive PR boost? To which the developer sheepishly probably replied, yeah, but it would take a couple of years and this one's ready to go right now. So the exec replied, cool, shut the fan one down. Can't have people giving out for free what we might one day be able to use to leverage sales. The official reason Jagex has given for the shutdown of the HD project is they are currently working on their own in-house HD client. This means they would be competing with a fan-made creation, and that's really not good for business. They've also stated in these exact words, we think it's absolutely vital there is consistency in the way old school RuneScape looks. This statement is, for want of a better phrase, complete bollocks. Old school RuneScape has a wide variety of graphical styles within it, and there's almost no consistency from one zone to the next. Even if there were, RuneLight has animation smoothing and increased render distance with occlusion fog. Are you going to ban all of those plugins as well, Jagex? No. No, you are not. It's not just the fact this fan-made HD plugin was shut down, it's the fact it was shut down on the day of release after 2 years of solo development. Now, if this is because Jagex weren't aware of the project until just now, that's just incompetence, because we know they were aware of it. And if they were aware and they waited until it finished before they pulled the plug, that's malicious. Either way, this decision is one overwhelming thing. Anti-player. The old school RuneScape subreddit is now flooded with memes about this, referencing the almost evil nature of the decision, and a riot was held on World 302, which is the traditional way RuneScape players show they're unhappy with something. But none of this will matter to the executives, because they only understand money, they only care about the bottom line. Well, I guess they're about to notice. Players have been cancelling subscriptions en masse because RuneLight HD was the only thing they were looking forward to. Gaming sites worldwide have been reporting on this, and support for RS117 have been flooding in. MMORPGs have a long history of being modded by the community, from World of Warcraft having its weak auras to Final Fantasy XIV having a client that finally gives speech bubbles. The players of MMOs are passionate, and a choice few are skilled enough to build mods or game launchers that can improve the experience for the vast majority. Adventure Quest Worlds players have used the Leet Spider launch for a few months now, and recently they actually hired Leet Spider on to make some official client stuff. Using your greatest strength, the community, to improve your game is a good choice, because your game is your community. Without them, you don't have a successful game. Spitting in the face of the community because they've given the players something you haven't, or something you are hoping to one day sell them, is going to burn any goodwill you have built up with them. But because many of the executives are short-term profit-focused, they won't consider this. Please understand that while Jagex as a company have definitely made a poor decision here, that decision has not been directly made by anyone that we have the ability to communicate with. The mods that respond to you on Reddit, the Jagex mods you can tweet at, they're not the people doing this. No developer who codes the game day to day has actively sat down and decided to destroy a fan project of this game. They probably loved the fact it was coming out and they would have played it themselves. This choice for profit has been made by someone so high up, we will never even see them. Get annoyed at them, the idea of them, the concept of them. Don't get angry at the people who are actually willing to talk to you. They're just towing the company line. Being angry at them won't help. Personally, I'm just super disappointed in the upper Jagex management for this choice, because the old school RuneScape homepage proudly says, where the community controlled the development so the game is truly what you want it to be. We want it to be HD. You've known we want it to be HD for years, and someone in the community finally gave us HD after working on a project you've known about for 2 years. But when it finally released, you said, oh no, not like that. You can develop the game as long as we are profiting from it. RuneLight is free. The HD overhaul was going to be free. There was no money being made here. This was art for the sake of art. This was a passion project to enhance a game we all love. This has been struck down after 2 years on the day of release because Jagex happened to be in the early stages of starting their own and don't want to compete. Forgive me if I don't believe you. Don't be surprised if in a few months we get told the official Jagex old school HD mod has been put on the back burner and doesn't have a set release date. But oh, the cash shop in RuneScape 3 keeps pumping out new products. Oh, like the skilling pack with overload potions. That's right, high-level potions previously exclusive to high-level herblorists. You can now just buy those for real money. You can straight up buy power. You can literally go to RuneScape 3 right now and purchase an overload potion, because the balance of integrity of the herblore skill means nothing. You can pay Jagex money and get extremely powerful potions you can use whenever you like, regardless of your level. But you can't have nicer graphics for free, because that would damage the integrity of the game. Thanks for watching. Another big thank you to the supporters on Patreon and Twitch who keep the channel going. You can support from just £1 a month. Check the video description for links to the Patreon, Twitch, Twitter, and Discord. And as always, everyone apart from whoever made this decision, have a great day.